Asterisk, after mass resignations, after a wave of high-profile cancellations, and after the Kennedy Center descended into absolute turmoil, Donald Trump has now announced that he is shutting the Kennedy Center down entirely. What was once one of the most respected, profitable, and culturally significant performing arts institutions in the United States has been brought to a grinding halt in record time. And just like so many times before, the collapse began the moment Donald Trump injected his name, his ego, and his politics into something that was never meant to serve as a personal branding exercise. Asterisk, Trump claims the Kennedy Center will be shut down for approximately 2 years. Though given his long and well-documented history of failed ventures, there is every reason to believe the closure could last far longer. This was not a struggling institution in need of rescue. The Kennedy Center was thriving. It was profitable. It attracted world-class performers, sold-out shows, and international acclaim. None of that was broken until Trump touched it. And now, instead of acknowledging failure, he has chosen the nuclear option: shut it down completely. Asterisk, after unlawfully slapping his name onto the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts and calling it the Trump Kennedy Center, the damage was swift and predictable. Experienced leadership was fired. Board members were purged. Longtime staff members resigned en masse. Within days, artists began walking away. Renee Fleming withdrew her scheduled appearances. Philip Glass canceled the premiere of his Lincoln Symphony, stating plainly that the values of the Kennedy Center under its new leadership were fundamentally incompatible with the message of his work. The Washington National Opera, a foundational institution that had performed at the Kennedy Center since its opening in 1971, announced it was leaving entirely. Asterisk, then the floodgates opened. Hamilton canceled its performances, stating that the Kennedy Center had lost its commitment to neutrality and artistic freedom. Shonda Rhimes severed ties. Dance companies, orchestras, chamber groups, and children's theaters followed one after another. Even the United States Marine Band, known as the President's Own and one of the oldest musical organizations in the country, canceled a scheduled performance, citing the administration's rejection of equity and diversity initiatives. These were not isolated incidents. They were a collective rejection of Trump's politicization of a national cultural treasure. Asterisk. Faced with the consequences of his actions, Trump issued a rambling statement claiming the shutdown was necessary for construction, revitalization, and rebuilding. He promised a grand reopening that would surpass anything ever seen before, but the facts completely undermine that narrative. The Kennedy Center had already undergone renovations. It was already considered one of the finest performing arts venues in the world. The only thing that had changed was Trump's involvement. The shutdown was not about construction. It was about damage control. Asterisk, this raises serious questions. Who is paying for this multi-year closure? Who is funding the loss of revenue, the displaced workers, and the cultural void left behind? Once again, it appears Trump is relying on wealthy donors and political allies to clean up the wreckage of another failed vanity project. History shows us how this story usually ends. Trump shuts something down, promises it will come back bigger and better, and then quietly walks away when reality catches up. Asterisk, it is worth remembering that since opening in 1971, the Kennedy Center remained operational for more than 5 decades. The only significant interruption was a brief shutdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. Under Trump, however, it has now been closed indefinitely, not because of a national emergency, but because of ego, incompetence, and an obsession with control. Washington, D.C. residents warned this would happen the moment Trump put his name on the building, calling it a desecration of a memorial honoring President John F. Kennedy. Asterisk, legal experts have repeatedly pointed out that only Congress has the authority to rename the Kennedy Center, a fact Trump ignored entirely. Richard Grenell, installed as chairman after Trump purged the board, responded to cancellations by threatening lawsuits against artists, a move that only accelerated the exodus. Instead of restoring trust, the administration chose intimidation, and the result was total collapse. Asterisk, at its core, this is not just a story about a building. It is about what happens when power is used to dominate culture rather than support it. The Kennedy Center was designed to bring Americans together through the arts, across political and ideological lines. Under Trump, it became a symbol of division, control, and personal vanity. And when the public rejected that transformation, Trump did what he always does: he shut it down. Asterisk, the final result is painfully familiar. Another institution damaged, another failure added to the list. Another example of how Donald Trump turns functioning, successful operations into disasters. He did not save the Kennedy Center. He did not improve it. He closed it. A vibrant national treasure now sits dark and silent, a casualty of ego and mismanagement, and a warning of what happens when art is treated as just another Trump-branded asset. Asterisk,